Hello guys, you're welcome once again to my channel, and in the last video we worked on authentication, so basically login and registration. In today's video we're going to be working on creating a new contact, and now let's jump straight into the content. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to be able to handle all my navigations within the dashboard, and so in here I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to call dashboard navigator, and in our dashboard navigator I'm going to create a root which is going to be our index.js, and then in here I also need a tab navigator because we are going to have a tab, and then I also want a root dashboard navigator. So basically our root dashboard navigator is going to house our tab and every other external basically page or component that's going to be outside of our tab. So I'm going to call this our root dashboard navigator. And then we want to start off with our tab navigator because basically we're working on the create contact. So we'll start off with that tab navigator. And in our tab navigator, I'm going to create a basic React Native component first, and then I'm going to get rid of this. And then right at the top here, I'm going to make use of let's call this tab because that just sounds better. And I'm going to make use of our create bottom tab navigator. And this will just help with our navigating within our tabs. And now we have this tab instance from this function. And so we are going to call our tab, but we want to call the navigator props in our tab. And in here, we are going to specify a couple of properties here. So the first one is we want to specify the active color. The second is we want to specify the inactive color. And then the third is we want to specify the bar style, so the color of the header. This actually has a background color property. For active color, we're going to make use of this color, which is more like, it's like a blue color. For inactive color, we're going to make use of this color, which is just a bit light. You're going to see this once we come up with, like once the tab navigator is built, you're going to see the different colors. And then for our bar style, background color, we want to use just this color. Okay, so now that's fine. In here, we're going to specify the tab screens. And for the screen within our tab, we're just going to have two screens. The first screen here, I think this is, we can just use the self-enclosing component here. And the first screen here is going to call our create contact. And our create contact is going to have a component which we are yet to create, but that's fine because we'll eventually create the component. And for the options, we want to specify certain options, which is first, we want to specify the label. So what label do we want our tab to have? So the label here would be new contact. And we also want to be able to have control over the icon specified or the icon that we want to specify. So for this, I'm going to just call a function here, which is the tab bar icon, right? And then I'm going to call the color property. And in here, I'm going to make use of ion icons, which we did import. And we need to import this first. So import ion React Native vector icons. And this is ion icons. And now we want to make use of ion icons. And for the name property here, the name, we are going to make use of iOS at circle. And this is just going to be a plus icon. And then for the color, we are going to pass down the color property from our tab bar icon here. And then for the size, we want it to be a bit big. So I'm going to use 26 for this. And now we have this, our component is not yet defined. So that's why this is being flagged as an error, but that's fine because we're still going to create the component. And now I am going to copy this. So this screen, and I'm going to duplicate this for our second screen. And our second screen is going to be called view contact. And so I'm just going to call this view contact. Sorry, not this, actually talking about here, up here. So our route, the name of our route view contact. And then here, we just want it to be a bit cleaner. So add some spacing between the text. And then we have view contact. And for the icon, we want something that has an eye, right? So iOS eye. And we're just going to keep things the same. Now let's just quickly create the components for create contact and component for view contact. And for that, I'm going to come over here with a new folder in our dashboard, and I'm going to call this create contact and another folder in here in our dashboard. And I'm also going to call this view. Our create contact, since the process of creating a contact is quite similar to our login, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy exactly what we have here, although we are still going to just change a couple of things, of course, in terms of like the properties, the inputs, but the basic structure is quite similar. So I've copied this right now. Now let's do some renaming. So first of all, I want to rename this from login form to create form. And in here, I'm also going to change all instance of login form to create form. And just to be sure, let's that changed. And our header, this is login header. So I'm also going to change the header here. Login header as create create contact header, right? And I'm also going to change this to create contact header, and I'm also going to change this to create contact header. So now we have create contact header, and here we are going to change this to create contact. So I'm going to call this create contact. Now I'm going to save this right now, and we have changed create form header. We want to change the name of this to create contact. And this login form here, we would call create form. Sorry, create form. Yes. I'm going to get rid of login form. So create form. And this header is this. Okay, that's fine. And is that it here? I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. So I think we have our create form. Good. For our view contact. Because we're not going to be doing much within the view contacts, I'm just going to create a couple of things. So first, our components folder, and then next would be our entry file, index.js, our entry file, and then next would be our view contact.js file. And I think we're good now. So right in our view contact, I'm going to RNF to create a new component, and this would be view contact. And I'm going to save this. And in our entry point, I'm going to export as default. And I want to export our view contact. So view contact, export default from, sorry. I want to export the view contact as the default of this directory. So I'm going to save this right now. And I'm going to head back over to our tab navigator here and call our create contact. And we do not, why is this not defined? And let's see why, create contact. Did we miss out on anything? So let me just see. Our create contact, our index.js, yeah, I want to export create contact. And now back over here, yeah, and then we have our create contact. And for here, I want to import our view contact, which is also exported via the root index directory and index file. So I'm going to save this right now. And then next up is we are going to go into our root dashboard navigator. And in here, I'm going to create a functional component, get rid of this because we don't need this. And we're going to create a stack. And this is going to come from our create stack navigator, basically. And we need this stack basically because we would not just have our tabs, but we also have extra components on top of us or on top of our tabs. So for example, we have a screen to view contacts, to view individual contacts, and that screen will be entirely different from the tab. So we want that screen to be able to be stacked on top of the tab or below the tab, yeah, and stuff like that. So for this, first of all, we are going to call our stack navigator here. And we do not want the custom header that it comes with. So I'm going to add a screen option here, screen options. And for our screen options, I'm going to do our header shown as false. And in here, we are going to do our stack screen. And our stack screen, we want the name property to have the tabs. And of course, the component, we want to pass our tab navigator here. So let's import our tab navigator. We're going to import navigator, this. And now we have our tab navigator here. We move over into our index here. And we basically want to, since this is going to be our entry point, we are going to want to export our root dashboard navigator. So I'm going to export this from our root dashboard navigator. And now we have this, we want to be able to bootstrap everything into our application. And so we're going to head over to our index.js file within our dashboard and here. And then I'm just going to get rid of this. And we are going to export, dashboard navigator. So a dashboard navigator. This should be fine. Now we save that and we have a couple of things here, fill in, which is none of these pages or files exist. So this is in create form. So let's just head back over to create form. And this does exist, right? Okay. I think we missed the file import. Help us components have a function. So I think this has more, help us, and then components helper functions. And now if I save this, where is that? Okay, here. So I think this, we need one more. And then I'm going to save that now and try and reload. And yep, so we have our tabs here. So you can see our view contact and then our create contact. And then this is like the awesome header. And right now, having done this, we're going to just focus on designing the create contact page. So basically, we would add an extra field here, change the details of this here, and we would also add like an indicator, more like an image, and then a description, just so that the user can know that is an image that he wants to upload. And then we'll also add like an icon at the top here. If you want to see what that looks like, you can just head back to the second video and in the series, and then you see like exactly what I'm talking about when I demoed the application. Okay, so now the first thing we want to do is we want to add a button right at the top here, more like an option, so that just gives us the ability to be able to log out. Yeah, so I'm just going to head in here, and within our source, we have helpers, pages. I'm going to create a layout here. Layout. Yeah, and in our layout, because this is a dashboard layout, I'm going to create a folder here called dashboard. And then in here, I'm going to create an options here. And I'm going to create a functional component, RNF, React Native functional component. And this is going to be our options. And here we want to make use of the React Native user navigation hooks. So I'm going to say navigation, yep. This is going to be used navigation. And then I'm also going to get rid of this. And I'm going to make use of our options menu component. So I'm going to import options menu from React Native options menu, right? Yeah, React Native options menu. And right here, I'm going to call our options menu to be, options menu. And our options menu is self-enclosing. And right next, we are going to specify a couple of things. So the first thing here is going to be the custom button, because we don't want to use the default button that this comes with. So for our custom button, we are going to specify a couple of things. So basically, we want to have icons, right? So to do that, I'm going to specify for each platform. So first off is I'm going to say for our custom buttons, if we are having an iOS device here, iOS, then we want to specify a particular design for our icon. So basically, the both icons are the same, but the only difference is for Android, we want the color to be white, while for iOS, we'll just leave the custom color for the color, right? The custom icon color, basically. And for this, we're going to use material icons. So I'm going to import the material icons, and this is from React Native Vector icons, and then material icons. No, material community icons, material icons. And in here, we're going to call material icons, and just I forgot this here. And we're going to specify a couple of things here as the property. So the first is the style. And now for this, we're just going to give it a margin from the left, or sorry, a margin from the right, sorry. And this is going to be 10. And then we are going to change the name of the icon, basically specifying the name of the icon, sorry, not change the name. We're going to specify the name of the icon to be more vert, and we have an error here. And that's because this is in here, this is wrong. So we just get this out. And yet this is going to be the name. And then the size would be 24. And I'm going to copy this right now. And I'm also going to specify the same thing too for Android, except that I'm just going to change the color here. So I'm going to change the color here to white. And now we have the custom buttons. We want to add other properties here, which is the destructive index. So at what index of our options menu do we want to click, and then it would automatically like hide the options menu, basically, more like the cancel button. So I'm going to set destructive index to 1. And then I am going to specify the options that we have. So we would have two options here. The first option is going to be logout, which is our logout button. And then the second option is going to be cancel, which is the destructive index, which is basically just hide our options menu basically. And then our actions here, for actions, I'm going to specify a function called logout for the option. This is an array of objects. So I'm going to specify logout here, which we have not yet defined for our logout option. And then for our cancel option, I'm just going to log some string to the console here that says cancel. And we're going to define the logout function here, logout. And in here, we're going to console the logout happened. And then we're going to save this right now. And we need to add these options over to our header. So the header of this create contact form. So I'm going to search for our header. And okay, let me just do this. So pages, create contact form header. So right here, I'm going to import options here. And this is from options. And I'm going to add this on the right-hand side, right? And in here, I'm going to specify options. Yes. And I'll save that. Yep. And then we have our logout and then our cancel. If I just click on cancel, you can see we have console.log. And if I click on logout happened here. Okay, now that we have our options, we are then going to go back to our create form. And right within our design, I want to add a couple of things here. So first, I want to add an image, and basically that image is going to be what would like what the user would click, just like a dummy image, right? The user will click that dummy image, and then he'll be able to upload an image. And we're going to do it here. So I'm going to call our touchable opacity, React Native touchable opacity. Yes. And within our touchable opacity, we are going to define a couple of things here. So in here, I'm going to specify our image tag, and this image tag is going to come from React Native. So just to be sure that this is not coming from native base, we want to, okay, let's just import that then. I'm going to import image from React Native. So I want to use the React Native image tag instead of native base image tag. And then I'm going to come down here, and in this image tag, we want to basically add the path to the image that we are going to be using. And I've already downloaded the image that we're going to be using before I actually started doing this video. So the link to the image path is found below the description of this video. And so for the image path, I'm going to specify a source property here. And for our source, I'm going to be requiring our image here. So require, and we will head down to our assets, images, and then default avatar, .png. And then, of course, we would also want to style this image. So I'm going to specify a style here, and we're just going to create a custom style for this. And so I'm going to specify a style property here, and then just going to call this default image style. Since we don't have this in our stylings, we're going to add this property to our create form styles. And it seems we have an error here. And why is that? Okay, yeah, it's called styles. Okay, and let's start. Yeah. So let's copy this right now, and we're going to head over to our styles here for our create form styles. And then we're going to add that property next. And we're going to style this a bit. And the first thing we want to do is we want to align this item. So basically we want to align the image to the center. And we also want to give it a fixed height and width so that it just forms like a perfect circle. So I'm going to say height of 100 and as well as a width of 100 too. Then I'm going to save that now. And that's strange. We don't have the image display. Yeah, that's because we haven't saved this. So I'm going to save this right now. And yep, we have the image right here. And the next thing we want to do is we want to add a little text under here. And that text will say something like, say, click here to add image, yeah, something like that, right? And so for us to do that, we would make use of label. And of course, this is a native-based property. And in here, we want to make use of material icons. We have not imported this yet, but we are going to import that now. We're going to import material icon from React Native vector icons, material icons, yeah. And we'll get back here, and this should be material icons. And we have an error here. Why? I don't think we need this right now. I'm just going to get rid of this. And yeah, the touchable opacity will be the parent element. So our material icons here, we're going to give it the icon of the name image. And we want it to have a size of 18. And of course, we also want to give it some styling. So here we're going to call icon rep image, and it should be styled. Yes, icon rep image. And then we are also going to add a text at the bottom, of course, the text that we spoke about. And our text, let's see, get like an optional here, just this, since in this our contact, whenever a user wants to create a new contact, image is optional. So specify here that's saying optional. And then we say click here to add image, or let's use icon. Yeah, click here to add image. And right now I'm going to save this. And we have an error here. Why? Can't find variable material icons. How did we import this? Okay, material icon. Okay, let's just add an S at the end. And maybe I'll just copy this and then just head to, yeah. And then I'll change this to be this, yeah. Now let's save this. And yep, we have this here. So we're going to do our styling, and essentially we just need to change the color, and that's exactly what we're going to do. This, and then we'll just give it a color here of red. And we're also going to do the same thing too for the text. So here we're going to give it a style here, and we're going to say style text rep image. So the text representative of the image, and save this. And I'm going to copy this and oh boy, sorry. I'm going to copy this now. And now let's head back over here. And we're going to add a few things here. And the first is the color, which is red, of course. And then we also want the font weight. So we want it to be bold, right? And then we want it to have the same size as the icon, which is 18. Save that. And yep, this is what you have. And then right after this, we're going to head back over to our create form. And in our create form, we're going to create a hook state. And I'm going to call our hook state profile image, and then set profile. We want to be able to change whatever is the value over here, right? So we want to be able to either give it a base 64 string so that we can display it within the React Native image tag, or we want to just use our dummy image that we are displaying already. So now that we have created this profile image, what we can then do next is we'll head straight over to our image tag, and I'll just pull that quickly, yeah. And right in here, we're going to wrap this inside of a view, and in this view we'll move our image into this view, and we'll also move every single thing in here. So I'm going to get this, let me just close this, and then let's move every single thing in here. Or no, I think this will be much better. So I'm just going to get this view, and then I'll move it outside here. I think that's just much better. And I also have this out here too, and I'm also going to keep this out here too. This is also going to be out here. And then right in here, we're going to say if the profile image that we have created is an empty string, then we want to use what we have here. But then if we feed this profile image with the 64 string, then we want to change what is going to be the value of our source. I'm going to copy this right now, and I'm going to set our source to be a URI actually. And then the URI would be our profile image. And we need to wrap this around two curly braces. Basically, the reason why we are doing this is whenever we select an image right here, and that particular image, we are returning like a base64 string from React Native. We want to be able to populate that base64 string with this here, and obviously we would need to make use of the URI property within the source tag to get that to work. And then I'm going to save this right now. And I think I'm going to be stopping here for this video, as this video is getting pretty long. See you next time.